Are you looking for answers to the unknown? Welcome to Live with Medium Lisa Phoenix and step into the magical presence of the metaphysical realm. Lisa will share the wisdom and musings from her own experiences, have intriguing conversations with other mediums and healers, in addition to exploring a wide array of topics and teachings on intuitive and mediumship development. Lisa will be taking your calls and inviting your friends and loved ones in the spirit world to share their stories with us. Raise your awareness as you are reunited on the level of love, and let's go live with Medium Lisa Phoenix.
Hello, everybody. It's a not so vibrant and sunny day in Southern California today. We have a bit overcast here. Welcome to the Live with Lisa Phoenix radio show. I'm Lisa Phoenix, your host, a medium and energy intuitive. My show is all about healing, mediumship, and energy management. And my special guest this morning is Minister Matthew Smith, spiritual medium and tutor at the Arthur Findlay College of Mediumship in Stansted, England. We're going to talk about mediumship and spirituality today. And since the station is currently working on the call-in feature, for now, if you want to share some of your own challenges or ask questions about your own specific journey, please go to my Facebook page, Lisa Phoenix Live, and post your questions, and we will do our best to address them while we're on the air. If you want further information about the Live with Lisa Phoenix radio show, please visit my page at OMTimes Radio at omtimes.com/IOM/host/Lisa-Phoenix. Now, let's talk about Minister Matthew Smith. Matthew Smith was born in Staffordshire. Did I say that right, Matthew?
Sort of, Staffordshire.
Okay, thank you. England. He's always been aware of spirit. In childhood, he would often talk to his spirit friends who guided him and his family through some difficult times. Matthew did not see or hear in the objective form. His visions were in the mind. Later in life, when Spirit was asked, he was informed that because he was epileptic as a child, the subjective form of communication was the only way the links could be transferred. From the age of 6, the epilepsy seemed to disappear, much to the amazement of the medical profession. Could this be spiritual intervention? However, the vision still continued in the same manner. Matthew spent 3 years at drama school, where he made his own puppet theater and played at children's parties and corporate events. The training at drama school and the years of working with the children has helped Matthew with his mediumship. Years later, he is now a tutor at this renowned college, Arthur Findlay, where people from all over the world come for tutoring. Matthew's approach to mediumship is direct, at times tinged with humor, but the techniques used in training will help you understand the truth in your own potential and abilities, which are your birthright. Matthew is a member of the Spiritualist National Union, and his work takes him all over the UK, as well as Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and America. Please visit Matthew's website at www.matthewinspires. That's MATTHEWINSPIRES.co.uk. And you can also visit the Arthur Findlay website, as well as also, Matthew, your Facebook page. How do they get to your Facebook page? Is it just Matthew Smith or?
Yeah, if they just put Matthew Smith with 2 T's in, it will just come up.
Great. So, Matthew, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on.
Well, you know, it's the first time, and I've been a medium for over 30 years now, but I did start very young. It's the first time I've ever done a radio show.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, welcome.
I've been asked to do them in the past, but I never felt comfortable with the idea. But this felt right to me.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm honored that you're on here. Thank you so much. And I wanted to, I really feel that it's all about just letting people know about spirit and about mediumship and about healing, and getting the word out there to people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people seem to think the word spirituality means you should sit on a mountain and don't eat for 3 days, and be super spiritual. But that isn't, in my opinion, that isn't what it's about. Firstly, it's about being comfortable in your own skin and being yourself. Because in this world, we cannot be so spiritual that we are of no earthly value.
Exactly. Yes.
So, we've all got a life to live, and we cannot live our life in the spirit world because we're not in the spirit world. So this word spirituality is, in my opinion, is very misunderstood, because it's not about being super spiritual. You can't love everybody. It's impossible.
Right. Yes, you cannot. Yeah. Definitely.
And how many times have you had emails from people and they put on the bottom "in love and light"?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what the heck? Sorry.
That's okay. What the heck?
Yeah, what the heck? Yeah, great. Yeah. What does that mean? I always put at the end of mine sunshine thoughts.
Right. Because it's tangible.
Yeah. You by being yourself, you are honoring your own spirit. And none of us are perfect. If we were, we wouldn't be here.
True. And I do think that one of the most spiritual things you can do for yourself is honor yourself and who you are, because that in itself honors spirit, Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Lisa, why beat yourself up? Because plenty of other people will do that for you.
Exactly. Yes.
So be free with who you are, because, there's only one stab at this life. Yes, I know there are people that talk about reincarnation, but I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to now, who we are now, what we're doing now. And happiness and peace is a state of mind. It's not in a bank account.
Exactly.
It is a state of mind.
Yes. And Matthew, could you share with us a little bit about your journey and about your mediumship and about spirituality and how the two kind of intersected in your life?
Yeah, well, as you said in the intro, as a child, I was aware of spirit, but I didn't know it was spirit. I was getting these visions, and I thought everybody could get them because children, a lot of children, are naturally mediumistic. Because they are so connected to that power from which they've come from. And it wasn't until I got older and I started talking about these things that my family became quite worried about me.
Yes.
And then, I'm sure many of your listeners can relate to that one.
Yes.
And then, of course, I went to the Arthur Findlay College to investigate my own mediumistic powers, and all these years later, I'm a tutor there, and I've been a tutor and course organizer there for many years. But I've been privileged to see many wonderful things. And I've also been privileged to see many funny things as well. As a medium, you've got to have a sense of humor.
Yes, definitely.
If you haven't got a sense of humor, forget it. We're dealing with the most difficult thing. We're dealing with death.
Right.
And we're not making humor of somebody's bereavement. No, that's not what I'm saying. But we have to have humor within ourselves to survive.
Yes, I completely agree. And I know you're going to share with us a couple of those stories that you have encountered. But now, so is the Arthur Findlay College what kind of opened the door up to you, like for spiritualism and the national?
Well, I went to a church first.
Okay.
I didn't. I was only 17 when I started attending a spiritualist church, but the arrogance of youth, it can be looked upon the arrogance of youth, I guess. I wasn't particularly impressed in what I was seeing, from what was being demonstrated there. And I thought, there's got to be more to it than this. And of course, then I went to the Arthur Findlay College and I found out there was. And then Gordon Higginson was a tremendous inspiration to me, and your listeners can look at his work on YouTube. He's long since gone into the spirit world now, but he was a superb medium in many, many different ways, and he had a wicked sense of humor.
Right. And he kind of inspired because he was himself, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He was himself. He laughed at himself, and I think that's a great quality that we should have, and if we make a mistake, we should admit it.
Right.
I find in demonstrations, if I've got something wrong, if I've said, this man worked with wood, and I'm going off saying he crafted wood, he was a carpenter, but he chopped down trees is actually what he did. I've made a mistake, and so I will admit that. And I think we should, because when we go into the spirit world, these people are going to be there waiting for us.
Right.
And the last thing we want is people there to be saying to us, well, no, I didn't say that, I said this.
Right. Yes. I mean, that's the last thing we want.
Yeah. But it's in service to spirit. That's what it is at the end of the day. And what we do is experimental, and no individual can be guaranteed. It all depends on the conditions and the links between you and the sitter, you and the audience, and what's happening on that particular day.
Correct. Now, I know that you are, can you explain to us, although I think we are going to be taking a commercial break, but I would love it if you would explain to us, because you're considered a minister over in England, and that's a little bit different than what minister means in the United States. So when we come back, would you be able to share with us the differences in what you do? Because I know you do services for the dearly departed, correct? And you do
hatch. We call it hatch, match, and dispatch.
Really? I like that. Hatch, match.
So hatch as in spiritual naming, match as in marriage, dispatch as in funeral.
Wow. Well, we're headed into a commercial break right now. Please stay tuned with us, everybody. You're listening to OMTimes Radio with Lisa Phoenix and Minister Matthew Smith. We'll be right back.
Feed your soul.
See, now our mics are off.
On OMTimes Radio.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know. I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to OMTimes Radio with Lisa Phoenix and Minister Matthew Smith. Matthew, when we broke off, you were going to talk to us about, your duties as a minister over in the UK, because I don't think in America it's exactly the same.
Okay, well, as ministers of the Spiritualist National Union, firstly, we can't apply. We are invited. And we're invited because of the work in which we do. We do then have to undergo quite a serious training program. And then if we get through that program and we are deemed suitable as ministers, we're then invited to take that appointment, because it's an appointment. But unlike a lot of Orthodox religions, we're not attached to a church. We don't have an individual church. We're told in our service of acceptance as ministers, the world is your parish.
Ah, that actually sounds good.
Yeah, so that is a big parish. And the people that come to us for help are not necessarily spiritualists, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
What matters is they're being guided to us. I mean, there is an appointment within the Spiritualist National Union as an officiant, and you have to be an officiant before you become a minister. But it doesn't necessarily mean if you are an officiant, it's an automatic ticket to being a minister. So that it's quite a complicated process to go through. But the fundamental basis of it is you cannot apply, you are invited.
Gotcha. And then you do all kinds of different services, right? And you do you do services for people that are spiritual, that are not spiritual.
Yeah.
How does that all fit together?
At the end of the day, the spirit world said to me many years ago, remember, religion is man-made, but your spirit is God-given.
How true.
And, just because someone wants to follow a particular philosophy, great, that's good. It's helping them with we should help them with their life and enrich them in some way. That's fine. So, I never knock any other religion. I had a Christian background. I was brought up in the Christian church. It served me well, and it was, the ritualistic stuff and all that. But then I realized there was more to it.
Yeah.
And so what suits one doesn't necessarily suit another. And I conduct wedding ceremonies. We were doing in spiritualism, I don't know what your law is in California on same-sex marriages.
It's different in different states.
Yeah, okay. Well, in England, we were doing blessings. They were not legally recognized because the blessings of same-sex was not recognized from a legal point of view.
Gotcha.
But we were doing those before they became legal.
Ah.
I've done several of those. Also, of course, straight marriages as well. As well as we have spiritual namings. Now, in the Christian church, and the Catholic church, they have christenings. A baptism.
Yes.
Yeah. But we have namings. And what happens is the medium will receive a name from the spirit world that will describe that person's life's path.
Wow.
So they've still, say the little boy is going to the parents want to call him Lucas, they'll still call him Lucas, but he'll have a spirit name as well, which will depict his life's path. And I had an occasion, sorry, am I talking too fast?
No, okay.
I
just think truthfully, that's the first time I've actually heard of that. So it just kind of blew me away a little bit. So.
Well, there's always, when we get the name, there's always an intelligence behind the name. I remember naming a little girl, and to be honest with you, it was Hope. That's right. The little girl's name was Hope. That was her spirit name, Right. And after the ceremony, which is very nicely, it's done with flowers. Everyone brings a flower because we recognize as spiritualists, children are pure. Right. They are not born of sin, so they can't be absolved of sin because they haven't got that there with them.
Right.
So everyone brings a flower, and we use flowers to depict this life's path as well. Anyway, at the end of it, the mother was quite emotional, and I asked her if she was okay. And I didn't know this, but when she was named, whoever the medium was at that time had given her the same name.
Wow. Given
her the same name of Hope. So you see, there's always an intelligence behind it.
Yes.
And we do namings for adults as well, not just children, because there are people that find as they go on in life that they, in spiritualism, obviously I don't know what spiritualism is like in America, but I can only talk about our organisation in England.
Right.
There are people that find that they've found a spiritual place and they want to give thanks to Spirit for that and have a naming service so they feel more spiritually connected to national spiritualism. So namings have been done for adults, and then, of course, funerals as well. And spiritualist funerals, you know, I mean, they're very happy events. I mean, we're not clicking our heels because the loved one's gone,
right.
But we're focusing on how they lived,
right?
Not how did they die.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a very important thing. And I think that in America, it's starting to shift. Do you know what I mean? A little bit more into that, you know, as far as celebrating people's lives.
Yes. We hear this a lot. Yes, celebration of life. It's something really, and I'm not being pedantic when I say this to you. Mm-hmm. It's something really I don't feel comfortable with the word celebration of life, because I use phrases like family memories.
Gotcha.
Say the man's name is Gordon, for example. Gordon's journey. But because a lot, I guess this is an English cultural thing as well. You know, some people do find this word celebration, particularly the older people, they find it a bit offensive. You know.
Gotcha. I just.
I know you were using that as an example.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I just think for over here, it kind of needed to take a bit of a jump. Because everything was so down in the, you know, serious. And I think it just needed to, it's kind of like, well, let's look at the good things that this person has done in their life, you know. I'm just reminded, it's just come into my mind of a ceremony, a funeral I conducted for a lady who was Thai. She was a Thai lady, and she obviously lived in England. And I'd written, because all my funerals are written individually. Okay. It's not a book. It's not a book, and we change the name, and we change the age, and the date of birth, and the date of departure. They are all written personally. And on the day of going to this dear lady's funeral, the spirit world impressed me to speak some Thai. Now, I can't speak Thai. Right.
And so I'm driving to the funeral, and I think, well, how the hell am I going to do this? You know, and of course, when I get there's all these Thai people. So this Thai lady, I pulled her into the vestry. I mean, she looked so shocked, and she could speak English. And I said to her, "Could you tell me what "go in peace" is in Thai?" Well, she told me. Don't ask me to repeat it. I haven't got a clue. I can't remember. So I wrote it phonetically, and I voiced it at committal. That means when at the committal, that means when we are committing the physical body and we are commending the individual soul to God. And I said this "go in peace" in Thai. Well, afterwards, all these people were coming up to me, speaking to me in Thai, thinking I could speak Thai, you know. But you see, as a medium, that's where the spirit world can come in and they can inspire us. That's why my website is Matthew Inspires. Because I think inspiration, and if you look at the word inspiration, Lisa, what does it mean? It says in spirit.
Right.
Yes,
it does.
So inspiration is very, very important, and it can be contagious.
And I think it's an important point to point out that it's like when you do each one of the different things separately, that you are being inspired by spirit and you're listening, you know, from the messages from spirit about the person that you're going to be giving that service for, correct?
Well, yeah. I do non-religious services. Now, some people think, well, he's a spiritualist minister. How can he do non-religious services? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're helping people.
Right.
And you'd be amazed at the number of people out there in the big wide world that do not have a religion, but they believe in an afterlife.
Yes, I agree.
And, you know, so what are you doing? Is you're bringing that awareness. I'm not standing at a funeral and giving clairvoyance. Of course I'm not.
Right.
We're focusing on the life of the individual and talking about that life and everything that they have done. And in that process, trying to give help and hope to the family.
Yeah.
Because the funeral really is for the family.
Exactly.
In helping them with their loved one.
Yes.
And I never, ever sense a spirit person when I'm doing a funeral, because my mind is focused on what I have to say with for the family.
Right. And I also would think too that you would, get what you needed about that person before, when you were preparing to do the service.
The interviews can take sometimes 2 hours. But now, you see, with webcams and things, a lot of crematoriums in England have webcams. And so if somebody in Australia can't get to their father's funeral in Southampton, where I am, they can put it on the webcam and they can see it.
Oh, wow.
And it can be seen live.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they probably do have some of that stuff over here, but
yeah, I would think so. But with travelling costs and things, I mean, people may not be able to get from Australia. But I've even known them in England. They've logged in. And before your listeners scramble to Facebook, it's not something that's viral.
No. No.
It's something that they have to have a special code, and they can see it free for 1 week.
Wow. No, I think that's amazing, because I remember people, like even my mother was an example. The weather was so bad. There were so many people who couldn't make it to her funeral, And I think this is a wonderful way so that people can participate, even if they can't get there. Yeah.
I would imagine, Lisa, you've got that in the States.
Yeah, I'm sure now we do, but maybe not back then. Thank you, everybody. Please stay tuned. You're listening to OMTimes Radio with Lisa Phoenix and Minister Matthew Smith. We'll be back after these words.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into OMTimes Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
Hi, my name is Monica and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love, and peace together. Every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to OMTimes Radio. My special guest, Minister Matthew Smith. Welcome back, Matthew. Now, I wanted to kind of move into, let's talk a little bit about mediumship, because I know that you have just, seen so many different things, seen so many different people, had so many different experiences. And I was wondering if you could share with folks a little bit about let's start out with maybe folks that aren't necessarily looking to be a medium or whatever, but just about to kind of take some of the, you know, the whole, how do I say it? The whole like stigma out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, unfortunately, you know, spiritualism for many years has been open to criticism, but then so have other religions, you know?
Yes.
And really, at the end of the day, I would say to someone who really wants to find out that they have an open mind and they investigate. And they investigate with not an emotional mind, but with a rational mind.
Gotcha.
And they don't sit in with a medium and think, and you know, if the sitting didn't go well, they shouldn't say, well, all mediumship's like that, because each time we work as mediums, it is experimental, as I said in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So they should investigate different mediums, different kinds of mediumship, and then come to their own conclusion. And to say to the spirit world, you know, okay, well, if you do exist, I'm going for a sit-in on Tuesday with so-and-so, then would you be able to talk about the colour of my front door, you know, or something mundane like that? Mm-hmm. And just encourage the spirit world within the communication. And if you do that, it will happen.
And I really think that that's an important point, because I talk to a lot of people who are kind of like, well, you know, I don't want to bother the spirit world. I don't want to, you know, and I think it's really important for people just to talk to them.
Well, at the end of the day, Lisa, we're not talking to the dead. We're talking to the living.
Exactly.
The people that are dead are the people here that whose minds are closed. Now, if one wants to live a life as a materialist, mm-hmm. you know, get as much money as you can and as many cars as you can, fantastic. But when your physical body dies, that cannot be taken with you. The only thing that can be taken with you is your life's experience.
True.
And as mediums, there's been a bit of debate on my own mentorship page at the moment on Facebook on this, where people are saying, well, why is it mediums charge a lot of money, da-da-da? Well, not all mediums do. And at the end of the day, you know, in England, again, I can't speak for America because I don't know, but in England now, as mediums, quite rightly, we come under an act called the Consumer Act. And that
what is that? Yeah.
Well, what that means is, if you came to me, Lisa, for a sit-in, and I took money from you, and I said to you, oh, your father's here, and he's telling me A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and if all that is a load of baloney, you can go to the police, and I can be fined. In fact, I could even be imprisoned.
Really?
Yes, because it's fraud.
Right.
There needs to be, and we as the Spiritualist National Union, of course I'm not talking for the Spiritualist National Union, I'm here independently as a minister,
right.
But the union was delighted when this law came in, because it's protecting the vulnerable.
Right.
And that's what we've got to do. We have to protect vulnerable people, because when you're going through bereavement, or perhaps you need a form of healing, and if people are saying to you, I can cure you, I can do this, I can do that, then you walk away, because they themselves can do nothing. And money can become a god, I'm afraid, in some people's eyes.
Yes. Now we do not have that sort of thing here in America. But I just, now does that law, and I'm just asking because I am from America and I know how things can be, does that ever kind of get twisted a bit?
There have been cases where people have tried it on, you know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you are working, if you are working in truth, and I've done sit-ins where nothing's come. And even at the college, even at the Arthur Findlay College, I've had sitters that they've come in, they've sat down, and I've got nothing, absolutely nothing. So I haven't said to them, "Oh, well, your great grandmother's here," and all this stuff, because at the end of the day, we are responsible. We have personal, as mediums, we have personal, well, as human beings, we have personal responsibility for everything we say, do, and think on this life. And when we go into the spirit world, we have to answer for it. So I've had situations where nothing's happened, and I've had to tell people.
Right.
And I've had to explain, well, look, this is an experiment. Maybe your spirit friends don't like me.
Right. Yes.
Maybe your father looks at me and I'm talking to him. Right. And why not? Because we can't get on with everybody in this life, can we?
Right. So what makes us think we can get along with everybody on that side too?
And what we're doing, Lisa, as mediums, and this is where I believe it's going a bit wrong. We're not theatre.
Right.
This is not a theatre. We are dealing with someone's emotion. We are dealing with someone's life. And whilst, yes, it's important that we do have big venues and we do attract a lot of people, but novice mediums, people that are learning, must understand that mediumship is not a career move.
Right.
It's a vocation.
Right.
And I sound terribly stuffy when I say that, but I feel very strongly about that because I work with so many people and they say, "Oh, I got fed up with my job, so I'm going to be a medium now." But hang on, wait a minute. Have you got the ability? Have you got the gift? Because it is a gift. I believe mediumship is a gift. I don't believe everyone's born as a medium. I believe everyone is born as spirit and everybody has an ability to communicate, but that does not necessarily mean they are born with the faculties of mediumship.
Gotcha. And
sorry, I digressed a bit there.
No, I think that's great because I also, I see a lot of people kind of in America too, especially now with the way things are moving energetically and everything's opening up, people are opening up. And again, just because your perception's opening and I don't believe either that it necessarily means that you should walk in that direction of doing that. Do you know what I mean? Full time.
It's a calling.
Right.
I mean, I was a professional clown for.
I know. I wanted to ask you about that because actually, in a certain sense, that actually really helped your mediumship, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It did. Because I had a helper who worked with me from the spirit world. His name was Joey. He was a clown. He was one of the Grimaldis.
Oh, wow.
And I would sometimes be doing, I'm conscious of the time, I'd sometimes be doing a trick with balloons, making the balloon animals and things. And the balloon, without, honest to God, the balloon would leave my hands.
I believe
and the kids were hysterical because they thought, "Oh, that's a clever trick," But of course, it wasn't me. He was taking it from me.
Right.
Because in his mind, he was a better clown than I was. And the end of one party, and say this little boy's name was Alex. I can't really remember his name. But Alex came up to me and said, my clown's name was Smithy, Smiffy, because my surname being Smith. This little boy, Alex, he said to me, Smithy, he said, you were funny. He said, but the one with the ginger hair was funnier.
Oh, wow. So he could see
He saw him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so when I was in the right zone, you know what I mean by that, and I'm sure many of your listeners do. When I was in that right zone for that to happen, it happened, and I didn't have to make it happen. It happened, and I believe that's the fundamental backdrop of mediumship. You don't make it happen, you let it happen.
Exactly. Yes.
And the conditions have to be there for that to manifest. Kids' laughter, is a fantastic energy.
Yes. It's an amazing energy.
Yeah. Well, if you've got the schools I used to do, you'd have like 200, what's first grade for you? Would that be 5 to 9?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you've got like 200 kids between 5 and 9 laughing, it's a tremendous energy.
Right.
And that feeds you.
Right. And I think it also helps strengthen the connection with the spirit world too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because when we're working as mediums, not that we want to make entertainment, I did say
no.
Out of someone's death, but with your personality, you can bring it across that humour can soften something, you know?
Yes.
Doris Stokes used to do that. She was a very well-known British medium, and she used this technique where obviously someone would be crying because their loved one was talking to them with this evidence, and in her mind, she would then ask the spirit to give them something to make them smile. And I watched her many times use that technique, and I use it now. You do have to have the right kind of personality for it to work, but it shifts the energy in the audience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've got a room full of people and one person starts crying, everybody else is going to think, don't you come to me if you're going to make me cry.
Right.
So it's a bit of psychology that you use there. Remind me, Lisa, to tell you about the little boy in hospital, because I'm mindful that I haven't got time to tell you about that now. But I would like to share that story with your listeners.
No, yeah. As soon as we come back, I know we've got another about a minute before we go to commercial break. But I do want to hear that, and then also I want to hear you have a couple funny stories about things you've encountered with your mediumship too.
I got loads, Lisa, but
I know
there are a couple that are going around in my head, and I hope your listeners will find a chuckle at, not at the expense of the communicators, because the spirit world has humor,
right? And those who have passed have humor.
Of course they do.
You know, I believe they want us to be uplifted. Do you know what I mean? And not stay in that grief thing. So I think
Lisa, that, in my opinion, again, it's only my opinion, to me, that is the object of our mediumship. It is to uplift and enlighten.
Right.
That the person that's communicating will leave us with a sense of peace.
Yes. And thank you so much, everybody. Okay. You're listening to OMTimes Radio with Minister Matthew Smith. We'll be right back after these messages, so stay tuned.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Imagine receiving healing, vibration-raising energy as you listen to the radio. Energy that flows effortlessly to you. Imagine exploring all things metaphysical, sharing in an ongoing adventure. Join me, Karen Smoot, along with my co-hosts Lisa Victorson and Wendy Weber, for Immersion into Source, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on OM Radio.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. You're here with Minister Matthew Smith. Matthew, before we took our commercial break, you were going to share a story with us?
About this. I was asked to go into a hospital to visit a 9-year-old. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I mean, I didn't at that time of my career, and it was the last week of me being a clown. I didn't normally work with 9-year-old boys because 9-year-old boys or girls didn't want clowns; they wanted discos or ropes. Yeah. But I accepted it, and this boy had been involved in a traffic accident. And when I got there, there was a 2-year-old on the ward who just looked so shocked to see this clown appearing on the ward. Yeah. And I learned many years ago when I started working in that profession, you don't go to kids, they come to you.
Right.
And so I clocked the fact this little one was nervous, and I didn't go. I went straight into the room, worked with the 9-year-old. And when I came out, this little chap was there waiting for me. So I just sat on the floor with him. And he had a little drip, attached to him.
Right.
And I made him these balloon animals, and he was laughing, and he was communicating to me in his own way. I'm going to start crying now when I tell you this. It always brings a tear to me. I left. And the nurse, or the sister in charge, she come up to me, she said, Smithy, she said, we don't know, she said, what it is about you, because say this little boy's name was George, I can't remember his name.
Right.
George has been with us for X days, he's never smiled, he's never communicated. We watched you with him, and he opened up to you. What is it you do? Wow. And I said, I've no idea. Anyway, I left him one of my little clown cards with a picture of Smithy the clown. And a few days later, I had a phone call from his mother to tell me he died.
Oh.
And before he died, he said to his mother, "Where's Smithy?"
Oh, I just got chills when you said that. Wow.
Yeah. So you see, although the spirit world presented me that opportunity to go to the hospital for the 9-year-old, had I followed my usual code of practice, I wouldn't have gone. But the spirit world didn't want me there for the 9-year-old. Obviously, I could help that 9-year-old, but primarily it was for the 2-year-old.
Yes.
That's why I needed to be there. And I use that story. Some of your listeners may have heard it if they've been to my courses, but I use that story not about me, but it's about the clown inside me,
Right.
And that's the same with all of us. It's the purity of who we are. We don't try to be who we're not.
Yes.
And that clown reached out. He didn't see him as a 2-year-old on a drip,
Right.
Saw him as somebody that needed help.
Yes.
And the help was given. And the little lad has communicated to me through various students, students that would not know that story.
Yes.
Over the years. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. And it's so...
Yeah. Well, it's always stayed with me. And I think in life, experiences that touch your soul do stay with you.
I agree.
Because they touch the soul.
Yes. Now, let's take it to the whole other side. Now, can you share with us one of the funniest experiences you've ever had as a medium in your sittings? Yeah,
well, I've got two things. One's very quick.
Okay.
This lady came to me for a sit-in, and she said to me, I'm not at all well. I said, I'm very sorry about that. And, she said, no. She said, do you think I've got what my friend has got? And, I'm not a doctor,
Right.
And I said to her, well, I have no idea. I said, what's your friend got? And she said, psychic flu. Now, I don't know what psychic flu is. But I really had to think on my feet, and say, well, look, I've no idea. But that happens to us as mediums, that we do have to think on our feet, I mean, the woman, basically, she must have had a cold. Anyway, the second story was I hadn't been working publicly very long. And are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, it's my screen's gone blank for some reason. Yeah, I wasn't. I hadn't been working very long, and this lady came for a sitting, and this would be in the early 80s, and this lady sat down, and we start to work, and a friend of hers communicated, and her friend said we used to work together in a rubber factory.
Really?
Now, remember, I'm only in my early 20s, and in those days, 20-odd, early 20s, they weren't as advanced as they are today.
Yes.
And then this lady proceeded to show me what I could only define as a penis.
No.
Yeah, and she was undoing a condom on this penis.
So that's what the rubber factory
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Because then, when these women worked together, it was in the war, and in those days, they were called rubbers.
Ah, gotcha.
They were not called condoms. But here's me going off about rubber,
Right.
not having a clue that I was talking about condoms, and because it was excellent evidence, and this woman was so hysterical.
Oh, I could imagine. I was just going to say, did she get it?
More than once, I would imagine, by a job. Right. But I just couldn't understand why she was laughing so much. And then, of course, when I realised what I was seeing, I was hysterical, and we lost the plot then, really.
Yes.
But the spirit people are very clever. They do bring humour in, you know, because it does help. And I know in that particular case, it was the lady's friend, which is not the same as your husband or your partner or your wife, your son, your daughter.
Right.
But that was the lady's way of communicating in that particular way.
Well, and it also, too, besides the humor, it just shows the intelligence of spirit.
Yeah, because she's using, the lady, the spirit communicator, was using the terminology that was used then.
Right.
She wasn't using the terminology that we would have used in more modern times, because that word wasn't around.
Right, exactly.
Or wasn't as commonly used. So, you see, when I'm talking about a rubber, I mean, you'd automatically think of tyres, wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah.
But that could be a whole different kind of development, I guess.
Yeah. Now, Matthew, I also want to know, do you have any courses coming up at the college that you want to tell our listeners about?
Yeah, if they go on the Arthur Findlay College website, www.arthurfindlaycollege.org, that's O-R-G, or they just put Arthur Findlay College on Google.
It should come up, yeah.
It'll come up, yeah. And I'm listed on various courses. I also do private mentorship, and that's on a one-to-one with individuals. And that really is tailor-made for the individual. So what normally happens is we arrange a Skype call, because Skype is fantastic. I mean, it's a wonderful medium,
Yes.
And we arrange a Skype call for me, really, to see if I feel I can help that person,
Gotcha.
Because if I don't feel I can help them, I'm not going to waste their time or their money in that process. And then we just we have a chat about that, and if I feel it could work for them and they feel it could work for them, we then arrange the sessions. And then they not only do they work with me, but then they have an opportunity to work and practice with other people on my mentorship program. So they have the practice as well, because there are a lot of people that haven't got a spiritualist church near them, or they haven't got people around them that they feel they can connect with. So. And that was all inspired by the spirit world. It frightened me. It frightened me to death, if you've forgiven the pun, in the beginning. I thought, how the hell is this going to work? But it worked, you see.
Yeah, no. And it's
the spirit world willed it.
Right. And it's a wonderful program. And I would encourage any of you out there who want to get some mediumship training and mentorship training, you should definitely go to Matthew's website. It's www.matthewinspires.co.uk. I'll spell it for you. It's MATTHEWINSPIRES.co.uk. And really, I if you're at all interested, I definitely think you should go and at least set up a chat with Matthew to see if this kind of thing fits you. And Matthew, what are some of the kinds of the things that you do as far as training for?
It depends on the individual, but if we look at the scenario where you've got someone that has an ability and they want to find out how this ability works and what they can do with it, how they can use their psychic ability and then their mediumistic ability, I can give them exercises where that can help with them. They work with it. So each session is an hour, and they have a theoretical and a practical aspect. I do find that with a lot of people, and this is something I've noticed over the years, a lot of spiritual mediums have problems with confidence issues.
Yes. And why do you think that is?
I believe it's a fragility, and I believe that fragility is there to help them actually with their mediumship, because if someone was big-headed, the spirit isn't able to get close to them.
Gotcha.
So what we try and teach people is to help them with their confidence, but not to lose their integrity or their sensitivity.
Perfect. Matthew, thank you so much for being on the show today, and thanks for helping all of us expand our awareness a little bit more. As I mentioned...
Can I quickly leave you with a pearl of wisdom?
Yes.
Don't chase rainbows. Make them.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. And please, again, everybody, visit Matthew's website, www.matthewinspires.co.uk. And I want to thank all of you once again for hanging out with us today.